Welcome to Jason Tuitions. In today's class, we are going to start with the first chapter in science, chemical reactions and equations. Before going to this chapter, you must know a basic concept which you have studied in your lower classes. That is the difference between physical and chemical change. Difference between a physical and a chemical change. It is better if you allot a separate notebook for science and then you copy down all your notes in your separate notebook. Okay, physical change and chemical change. First, what is physical change? Already in lower classes you have studied. A physical change means it is a process in which no new substances are formed. No new substances are formed. Chemical change means a process where new substances are formed. New substances are formed. And you know, physical change is a reversible change. And chemical change is a irreversible change. Okay, example you can write melting of ice for physical change, and for chemical change you can write digestion of food. Okay, so this is the basic thing which you must know, what is a physical change and what is a chemical change. See, now you see this chemical change part alone. In chemical change, you have studied that new substances are formed. Okay, and it is an irreversible change. So, for example, digestion of food, or I will take one more example, changing of milk to curd. Changing of milk to curd. So, milk is changing into curd. Can curd change back again into milk? No. Curd cannot change back again into milk. Okay. So why milk is changing into curd? Milk is changing into curd because some reaction is taking place in this milk. Because of this reaction only, it is changing into curd. So milk changing into curd is an example for chemical change. Why this chemical change is taking place? Because there is some reaction which is taking place in the milk. That reaction only is responsible for this chemical change. So what we can write is how chemical change will take place? Yes, only when chemical reactions are happening. Chemical reactions are responsible for the chemical change. Chemical changes, or we can say chemical changes are happening because of the chemical reactions. So now see the lesson name, chemical reactions and equations. So first we will be studying what is a chemical reaction, and then we will go on to the chemical equation part. So what is a chemical reaction? What chemical reaction will do? Chemical reaction will make a chemical change, or you can say a chemical change is taking place because of a chemical reaction. Only if the chemical reaction occurs, there will be a chemical change. Okay, so we will try to write the definition for what is a chemical reaction. Okay. What is a chemical reaction? So chemical reaction. What chemical reaction will do? It is responsible for the chemical change. So when a chemical reaction occurs, new substances are formed. Okay. So chemical reaction means it is a process in which new substances are formed. Will the new substances will have same property? No. So milk will have different property, curd will have different property. So chemical reaction is the process in which new substances are formed and the new substance will have new properties. So the process in which new substances with new properties are formed. New substances with new properties are formed. It's called as a chemical reaction. It's called as a chemical reaction. Okay. So what is chemical reaction? It is a process in which new substances with new properties are formed. How we can find out whether a chemical reaction has taken place or not? Okay, so how we can find out whether a chemical reaction has taken place? How to find out whether a chemical reaction has taken place? Okay, or we can say this as the characteristics of a chemical reaction. Characteristics of a chemical reaction. What all will happen when a chemical reaction takes place? What are the characteristics of a chemical reaction? Allot a separate notebook and copy down the notes. Okay. So what are the characteristics of a chemical reaction? The first one is change in state. I'll explain each one in detail. First one is change in state. Next one is change in color. Third one, evolution of gas. Fourth one, change in temperature. And the last one is formation of precipitate. Formation of a precipitate. Okay. Okay. First one, change in state. Change in state. State means what? There are three states of matter: solid, liquid and gas. So when the reaction is taking place, a solid can change into liquid, or a liquid can change into gas, or a solid can change into gas. Okay. So the change in physical state will take place during the reaction. So change in state means what? Change in physical state takes place during the reaction. So example, burning of wax. Burning of wax. Wax is a solid, yes or no? So during burning of wax, when you burn wax, this is burning, not melting. Melting is a physical change. Okay, melting means solid will change into liquid. Okay, so burning, when you burn wax, what will happen? The solid wax will change into gas. Okay, so whenever there is a change in state, we can say that a chemical reaction has taken place. This is the first characteristic. Second one, change in color. Change in color. So whenever something is changing the color, we can say that a chemical reaction has taken place. Example, rusting of iron. Rusting of iron. What is the color of iron? Before rusting, the iron will be in gray color or some blackish color. Yes or no? After it rusts, what will happen? The color will change into brown color. So why this color is changing? Because a chemical reaction has taken place. Because of that only the color is changing. So whenever there is a change in color, we can say a chemical reaction has taken place. Okay. Now the third one, evolution of a gas. Evolution of a gas. Evolution of a gas means some gases will be released during the reaction. Gases will be released during the reaction. For example, if you take zinc metal and if you treat it with hydrochloric acid, when you take zinc metal and when you treat it with hydrochloric acid, what you will get? You will get zinc chloride, and along with this, hydrogen gas will be released. Which gas will be released? Hydrogen gas will be released. So this reaction is an example for evolution of gas. So whenever there is evolution of gas, you can say that a chemical reaction has taken place. The next one is change in temperature. Change in temperature means when the reaction is taking place, the temperature will change. Either the temperature can increase or the temperature can decrease during the reaction. Okay, so I will give an example. Calcium oxide. Okay, CaO means it is calcium oxide, or the other name for calcium oxide is quicklime. Okay, when you treat it with water, what will happen? When you treat calcium oxide with water, what will happen? How many calcium is there? 1. So write that this side 1 oxygen is there and this side 1 oxygen is there. So totally 2 oxygens and 2 hydrogens are present. So oxygen also is 2 and hydrogen also is 2. So I am putting bracket and I am writing 2. During this reaction, a large amount of heat is released. Okay, so when you mix this and when you touch the beaker, you can feel the heat. Okay, so here what is happening? The temperature, the heat is released, so the temperature is changing. So when the temperature is changing, you can say that a chemical reaction has taken place. Okay. Now what is the last one? Formation of precipitate. The last characteristics is formation of precipitate. First you must know what is a precipitate. Precipitate means an insoluble solid. What is precipitate? An insoluble solid which settles down at the bottom. Okay, an insoluble solid which settles down at the bottom, that is called as a precipitate. So when you do the reaction, when any insoluble substance is settling down at the bottom, then you can say that a chemical reaction has taken place. Example, I am going to do the reaction between lead nitrate and potassium iodide. lead nitrate and potassium iodide. Lead nitrate and potassium iodide. I am going to do the reaction between lead nitrate and potassium iodide. So what I will get is this lead will combine with this iodide and it will form lead iodide, and this potassium will combine with this nitrate and it will form potassium nitrate. In this lead iodide is the insoluble solid. Insoluble solid means it is the precipitate. It will be yellow in color. This precipitate is represented by a downward arrow mark. Okay, when you put a downward arrow mark, it means a precipitate. Similarly, here I told a gas is released. Gas means you have to put an upward arrow mark. So upward arrow mark represents a gas and downward arrow mark represents a precipitate. Okay, so whenever a precipitate is formed, we can say a chemical reaction has taken place. So change in state, change in color, evolution of a gas, change in temperature and formation of a precipitate. Okay, now we will take another example for a chemical reaction. I told you what is chemical reaction. What is chemical reaction? A process in which new substances with new properties are formed. That is called as a chemical reaction. So I am going to take one example. This example is given in your book back question. Burning of magnesium ribbon in air. Burning of magnesium ribbon in air. Okay, so burning of magnesium ribbon in air. So magnesium, okay, it is going to burn in air. Air means what? Oxygen will be present in air. So magnesium, when you burn it in air, what will happen? It will react with the oxygen present in the air and it will form magnesium oxide. Magnesium will react with oxygen present in the air and it will form magnesium oxide. Okay, so this is an example for a chemical reaction. Okay, now which are the substances which are reacting? Magnesium is reacting with oxygen. So these two substances are reacting. Which is the new substance that is formed? Magnesium oxide is the new substance that is formed. The substances which are reacting, they are called as reactants. Okay, and the new substance which is formed, it is called as a product. Okay, so what is meant by reactant and product? Reactant means the substances that take part in a chemical reaction. The substances that take part in a chemical reaction, they are called as reactants. And what do you mean by products? Product means the new substance which is formed with new properties. Product means the new substance that is formed with new properties is called as a product. Okay, understood what is a chemical reaction, what is reactant, what is product, and what are the characteristics of a chemical reaction. In this, they will ask one more question. When you burn a magnesium ribbon in air, we should always clean this magnesium ribbon before burning. Why we should clean the magnesium ribbon before you burn it in air? This is a book back question and very important question. Okay, so what is the question they will ask? Why a magnesium ribbon should be ribbon should be cleaned before burning in air? Why a magnesium ribbon should be cleaned before burning in air? Okay, so first I will explain, then I will write the notes. Suppose if this is the magnesium ribbon. Okay, so this magnesium ribbon, what will happen? It will slowly react with the oxygen which is present in the atmosphere. Okay, so this magnesium will slowly react with the oxygen which is present in the atmosphere, and a layer of magnesium oxide. What you will get when magnesium reacts with oxygen? You will get magnesium oxide. So this magnesium ribbon, it will react slowly with the oxygen present in the atmosphere, and it will form a layer of magnesium oxide. Okay, so before burning, what you should do? You should remove this magnesium oxide layer. So always you should rub the magnesium ribbon with sandpaper before you burn it. Okay, so how will you write the notes for this? Magnesium reacts slowly with oxygen and forms a layer of magnesium oxide. Okay, so what you must do? You must always, clean this layer with the help of sandpaper before you burn the magnesium ribbon in air. Okay, so it should always be cleaned using sandpaper before burning in air. So it should always be cleaned using sandpaper before burning in air. So this is why you should always clean the magnesium ribbon before burning in air. So in today's class, we have studied what is the difference between physical change and chemical change, what is a chemical reaction, okay, what are the characteristics of a chemical reaction, okay, and for each characteristics we saw one example, and then what are reactants, what are products, and why a magnesium ribbon should be cleaned before burning in air. Okay, so this is about the chemical reactions part. In the next video, I will be teaching about chemical equations. Okay, chemical equations. Always have a notebook to copy down the notes. Have a separate notebook to copy down the notes. Okay, if you study the notes which I give, it is more than enough for your board exam. Okay, you need not refer any other guide or anything. Okay, if you need any worksheets or question banks, you can mail me to this mail ID or you can WhatsApp me. Okay, if you want any online tuitions or if you want to come directly to the tuition also, it is available. The tuition is located in Chennai. Okay, so you can contact me and start studying. Allot a separate notebook for taking down the notes. Okay, so if you like the video, you subscribe the channel and you can share this video with your friends who are in need of help. Okay, thank you.